Stephen Woofle is the UK Independence Party's MEP for the North West and the party's spokesperson on migration. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What do you make of what the Prime Minister has announced?
Well, I think it's really a rather cynical and vacuous attempt to really shore up his own MPs before the next general election, and an attempt to, I suppose, steer back those who voted for UKIP or are concerned about migration in this country.
Well, leaving aside what you think about the politics of it, do you think it's a good or a bad thing to do?
Well, I think it really isn't amounting to very much. Your commentator on the economics has already shown that the numbers are actually minor. And our main view, it should be that migrants who come to the country should have sufficient means so as not to place an unreasonable burden on the social services or health system. And this isn't really going to go far enough to deal with that, because there are many exceptions to this, as has already been mentioned, and I think it's not very clear how he's going to stop this in the future.
Well, let me try to understand what you think should be the objective of policy in this area. Do you think he should be trying to stop people coming here, or do you think he should be trying to reduce the amount of money that they claim?
Well, I think, first of all, the objective should be to be fair and open to those across the whole of the globe. UKIP's policy has always been that we should allow migration to this country to be open to the whole of the world and not distinctively to one race or one region. And what Cameron does in his policy is really pander to that of the European Union. That's the first thing that I should be to any ethical immigration policy that we have. And secondly, we then should look at the amount of the numbers coming to this country and whether we have the right skills for the jobs that we need. And I think that's the second part of any ethical policy that you have in migration. I'm not sure, really, that one can say that is the policy that the Cameron government has, or indeed that of the Labour Party.
We should probably just, as a sort of reality check, point out that the most recent study on the impact of migration from members of the European Economic Area showed that actually they pay in rather more than they take out.
But it's a very narrow number, sadly. I mean, I've looked at the very survey I think you're talking about, the European Parliamentary Research Service, which is actually produced by the European Parliament for itself. And what that does identify is that there are a number of areas of benefits that people can get from the EU: job seekers allowance, housing benefits, supplementary child allowances and pensions. But it only really looks at the difference between, say, taxation that is paid in, and doesn't include all the other costs, the costs of building schools or hospitals or roads or infrastructure. So again, it's one of those complicated areas where they've tried to narrow it down to something very simplistic, which is good for the press and good for their statistics, but doesn't do anything about the real economics of the country.
Stephen Woofle, very many thanks.